Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has Sage Power and Rinnegan in High School DxD. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Akatsuki Kujou and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Story start. Rawr. You evil creature. Came out of the mouth a young girl wielding sword. She grunted as she sliced the dog demon in half and watch as it dissolve in golden flake signifying its death. The girl is a young woman that has long blue hair that frame her dark yellow eyes. She was wearing a black skin-tight short sleeve unitered with pauldrons, matching with fingerless gloves that extended to her biceps and tight high boots, all of which are adorned with straps to keep it in place. The only thing that hides her figure was her white hooded cloak with gold and blue accents in it. She was also wearing a crucifix around her neck, signifying her association with the churches. Zenovia-chan. Are you done? Hurry or Griselda-sama might punish us for being tardy. This came out of another young woman. She is a beautiful young woman around Zenovia's age, with long chestnut hair and violet eyes that twinkles with mischief and playfulness. Her hair was currently tied into twin tails held by two rubbers, as not to hinder her vision and movements. She was also wearing the exact same outfit as Zenovia and had a crucifix for a necklace. Zenovia shuddered before she nodded her head. Griselda was the one who raised and taught her everything she knows about the three factions and the art of wielding a sword. Griselda is one of the most kindest women she knew, yet was also one of the scariest when angered. You're right, let us head back then. Zenovia responded before her eyes widened when a beam of light struck her. Zenovia Arena shouted out when she saw her partner get hit by a beam of light out of nowhere, but before she could finish the same light swallowed her. When the light disappeared, there was nobody there anymore. -00000. Uchi. Irina shouted as she rubbed her sore backside. Irina. Zenovia called out gaining said woman's attention. Her eyes widened when she noticed that they were inside of a huge room with a huge couch and several chairs in it, and in the middle was a huge plasma screen television. But what made her eyes bulge out was the person standing in front of them, or should she say persons. Standing in front of her was a handsome-looking man with long blonde hair and green eyes that shone with love and kindness. Behind him, or more specifically on his back, was 12 golden wing, signifying her standing as the leader of the Seraphs. Besides him stood an extremely beautiful woman with curly blonde hair and a very voluptuous figure. She has 12 white wings on her back. Michael-sama. Gabriel-sama. It is such a great honor to be in your presence. Irina shouted out as she bowed her head towards the most powerful angels in existence. Raise your head, Irina-chan. Irina did so as per Michael's order. She looked quite eager to listen and do any command that he will give her. I believe there is a reason for us to be summoned here. Thus Michael-sama. Irina stated before she noticed that Zenovia was glaring at something behind Michael, tilting her head to peek behind Michael. Her eyes widened when she saw people she recognized as church enemies. The first one she sees was a very handsome man smiling sheepishly at her. He has shoulder-length crimson red hair and playful blue-green eyes. He looks to be around early 20s. Besides him stood a very beautiful woman with a mature stoic look on her face. She has silver hair and matching eyes. Her hair, which flows all the way down to her back, was tied on a long braid on each side with a small blue bows at the ends, while the rest is let down ending the twin braids. She was wearing a blue and white French-made outfit with long sleeve and white-made headband over her head. She also has red lipstick as a cosmetic accessory. To Irina, this made her look like a beautiful mature woman. Besides them was another young-looking woman. Irina would have thought of her as a child had it not been for her figure. She was a beautiful woman with long black hair tied in twin tails. She has violet eyes that shone with mischief. Despite looking like a child, she has a huge pair of breasts that made her realize that the girl wasn't a child. She was wearing a weird clothing that Irina only saw in an anime, like those magical girls, and she even has a wand and all. Besides her stood a handsome young man with light blue eyes and green hair that is slicked back. He has a mysterious aura surrounding him that lets her know that he was a devil. Then besides him was another man with black hairstyle and a small ponytail. He has a look of laziness in him, yet the aura radiating from him shows otherwise. Behind them sitting on the long couch was a girl with a very buxom figure. She looks like her age, if not a year older than her. She has blue-green eyes. Her most distinctive feature is her long beautiful crimson hair that reaches down to her tights, with a single strand which was known in Japan as an ahoge sticking out from the top. Her hair also has loose bangs covering her forehead and side bangs framing her face. She was wearing a school uniform which consists of a white long sleeve, button-down shirt with a black ribbon on her collar, worn under a black shoulder cape and a matching button-down corset, and a magenta skirt with white accents in it. She was wearing brown dress shoes over white crew-length socks. Besides her was another girl with a very buxom figure like the redhead one. She has a very long black hair and playful violet eyes. She had her hair tied in a long ponytail that reached all the way down to her legs, with two strands sticking out from the top and sloping backwards, with an orange ribbon keeping it in place. She was wearing the same clothing as the red hair one, with the knee-length black sock she wore being the difference. And besides her was another young girl. This one is a petite girl looking around to be 15 years old, with white hair and hazel eyes, that was sent in a fierce glare towards the other person on the corner of the room. The front of her hair has two long bangs going past around her shoulders, and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back has a short bob cut. She was also wearing a black cat-shaped hair clip on both sides of her hair. She was wearing the same uniform as the two girls, with the difference being her not wearing the shoulder cape. The girl sitting far off besides the white-hair girl was someone she knew too well. This girl was none other than the witch Asia Argento. Asia has long blonde hair and innocent green eyes. Her hair flows all the way down to her back, with split bangs over her forehead and a single strand sticking out from the top, sloping backwards. Her attire consists of a dark teal nun outfit with light blue accents, a white veil over her head with the same light blue accents, a brown satchel slung on her right hip, where she probably held her Bible. She was wearing brown boots with black straps in an X-shaped pattern. She also has a silver cross necklace around her neck. Besides her sat a princely-looking young man with short blonde hair, grey eyes and a mole under his left eye. He was wearing the same uniform, the only difference of it being the male version. It consists of a black blazer with white accents over white long-sleeved dressed shirt with a black ribbon on the collar, with matching black pants and brown dress shoes. Besides him, looking very out of place, was someone she knows too well, but doubt him knowing about her. The boy was of about 17-year-old with average looks. He has short brown and light brown eyes. He was wearing the same outfit, only slightly different, consisting of a black blazer over a white long-sleeved dress shirt and blue pants. He was wearing blue-white sneakers in place of dress shoes. On the other side of the couch sat another figure. She was a young bespectacled woman in her late teens, probably the same age as the red-haired girl. She has black hair styled in a short bob cut and violet intelligent-looking eyes. She was also wearing the same uniform. Besides her sat another bespectacled teen. She has long straight black hair that extends all the way down to her knees with split bangs and heterochromatic eyes, with her left eyes being violet and her right eye being brown, and was also wearing the same type of uniform like the others. On the far side of the corner sat a man lazily. He was a man who appears to be in his late 20s. He has black hair with golden bangs and black goatee. By the looks of it, the man was busying himself by reading an adult magazine. On another corner sat a cute young girl with long black hair that reached her hips. She has grey eyes. The only thing that separated her from normal kids was her elf-like ears, although her black hair makes this feature difficult to notice. Her attire consists of a black gothic Lolita fashion. The next one was a girl of 15 years of age, with a haughty expression on her face. She is a beautiful young girl with long blonde hair tied into twin tails with large, drill-like curls and blue ribbons keeping them in place. The front of her hair has several bangs hanging over her forehead, with V-shaped fringe hanging of her nose. She was wearing an outfit that only nobles usually wore. It was a purple dress with dark purple accents and a blue bow at the front. At the back, three feather-like extensions mimicking a bird's tail protrude from the dress. Then far off to another side was another group chatting animatedly. The first one was someone she knew so well, someone known for killing her king. Kuroka the stray cat. She appears as a young woman with a very voluptuous figure, with long black hair with split bangs and hazel eyes with cat-like pupils. Her attire consists of a black kimono, a yellow obi and a set of golden beads, and an ornately detailed headband. The kimono features a red interior, and it is open at her shoulders giving view to her large breast. Sitting besides her looking as annoyed as ever was a man, just like those two girls. He was also wearing eyeglasses, he has blonde hair, and was wearing what looks like a business suit. Sitting besides him was a cute foreign girl with slim body. She has shoulder-length blonde hair and shiny blue eyes. She appears to be the same age as a middle schooler. Her attire consists of a sorceress-like dress, with a huge blue hat with a black bow and yellow stars, and matching cape with pink flowers and a white interior. Who are those people? Irina thought with a frown. Some of them she recognized, some of them she didn't, but she knew that mostly of them are heathens. The aura they were radiating was so tinted that it makes her fight or flight instinct go haywire. If they comes to traded blows, she wasn't sure if they are going to win. Lord Michael, do you mind if I ask who those people are? Zenovia asked, while Irina gaped at her. Can't she see that most of them are devils, and they are outnumbered? Whatever she's smoking, she wants one too. Michael smiled kindly at them before he gently motions for Surziches to introduce themselves. The red-head man stood up with a sheepish smile before he coughed in his fist. Ahem, I know you are confused, but let me introduce myself first. He started with a smile. My name is Surziches Lucifer, one of the four Maus of the underworld. Shit. Zenovia and Irina thought it was worse than they thought. Before they could even think of a plan to escape, Surziches calmed them down. Do not worry, we aren't here to fight. You just came now so you didn't hear the explanation, but before I explain anything I will introduce them to you as we already done so with each other. Pointing at the man a few sits besides him, his name is Ajuka Beelzebub, he's one of the 4 magus of the underworld and he's my best friend. Unfortunately. Ajuka muttered while Surziches proceed to ignore him. Then the next one with a lazy expression on his face is Falbium Asmodeus, and then the lowly girl with big breast is Seraphol Leviathan. YHALOOO Seraphol greeted them with a grin while waving her hands, though the 2 exorcists' gaze were focused on her swaying breast. My god, how could someone so small have such a huge breast? So many oppi. Issei though with a small drool coming out of his mouth, despite him being scared earlier because of what he found out about his beloved Oju-samas, he doesn't care anymore. Because of this incident he was being surrounded by a lot of big oppis. Scum. Kaneko practically spat out while Issei winced, damn she looks like she wanted to kill somebody. More likely him and the black hair girl on the other side, Irina shook her head. She never thought that her childhood friend would be turned into a pervert. Surziches pointed at the silver hair maid, her name is Graphia Lucifuge and she's my queen. Graphia gave a firm nod at her. On the other end is my beloved cute little sister, my Ria Tan. And her peerage. Rias and Graphia simultaneously slapped their palms on their foreheads. Then her peerage member, there is Akeno Himejima, her queen. Then Kibayudo-kun, her knight. The other one was Kaneko Taoju, her rook. Rias gave a wave with Akeno gave her a sadistic smile. Irina shudders at the look. Then there's Issei Haidu-kun and Asia Argento, they are both humans. Ah no, hello there's Zenovia-san, Irina-san. Asia greeted them with a shy look on her face. Hello there Asia. Zenovia greeted her back. No need to be such an ass, despite her being a witch she's still a part of the church. Then there is Azazel, the leader of the Grigori faction. Azazel gave them a lazy wave and a lewd smile. The girl sitting a few feet away from him as well, her name is Office, the Ouroboros dragon. Zenovia and Irina both froze, they knew that name anywhere. Her. The infinite dragon god. This gotten a lot more harder. They thought they could see despite Surziches acting like that, he was being serious when he mentioned her. The fact that his smile becomes strained when he introduced her makes this situation a lot more dangerous. Then there is Arthur-san, his sister Lefei, Kuroka-san, Ravel Phoenix-san and Seraphol's sister Sona Citri, along with her queen, Tsubaki Shinra. Now, I know the both of you are confused and wondering why you are here. The both of them nodded while Michael and Gabriel gave them a nod and a smile. Surziches continue now, as I said earlier, I am going to explain why you are here. He coughed in his fist before he began. You see, a few minutes ago a man named Izanagi came here and told us about the impending danger and war that was going to happen in the near future. The war? Irina shouted out in shock, a war. The last war was the only war, it was called the Great War, and there is a reason why it was named that way. Despite not being there during those times, Irina and Zenovia heard tales and stories about the war. Apparently it was so massive that so many devils, angels and fallen angels died that day. They weren't sure if they're going to survive if there is another war. Surziches smiles at them. Do not worry, despite Ayanagi-sama not telling us when and what would happen, he told us that we will be able to prevent it. How? Zenovia asked with a scowl, not liking the fact that she was hearing all this from a devil. He said that a hero from another world or dimension will arrive and will be the one who will change everything and will brought for an everlasting peace. We were given this book to help him and nurture him when the day that he comes. Surziches finishes with a smile while showing them a golden book with a weird markings in there. Wait, a hero? A messiah perhaps? This will be interesting. Now do you understand? Surziches asked, seeing the two nod motion for them to sit before he too sat down along with the 2 angels. Now who wanted to read first? Surzix asked. If I may? Gabriel asked with a gentle smile. Surziches nodded and gave her the book. Naruto, the god of sages. Sages? You mean those old mans with a huge beard with white balding hair? Issei asked while Azazel burst into a fit of hysteria while laughing so hard. No. You idiot. Azazel shouted out as he laughed while the others chuckled at his question. Yes, usually sages are old mans. But there are also those people who despite young was full of experience. You don't need to be old to be wise. Just don't be an idiot. Oh. Issei muttered in embarrassment while Irina palmed her face. 2 people floating across from each other. Floating? I'm assuming they are flying. Ajuka commented with a hum while Surziches shrugs his shoulder. He won't comment yet, he needs to read a bit more for him to understand the situation. One was Naruto Uzumaki. So that must be the Naruto in the title, could he be the hero Izanagi-sama told us? Michael asked while he brushed a lock of his hair. His name is on the title so that must be him. Azazel responded with a shrug. A young male who would turn 17 years old in only a few hours. Oh, so he's of our age. Irina commented, if that is so then it would be for them to connect, being the same age group they'll be able to understand each other much better. She knew, because she would usually have trouble when it comes to having a conversation with older people. That was why she was happy when she found out that Zenovia will be her partner, being the same age group as she is and all. He was a godly-looking figure, though he stood at a rather average height of 5'5" for his age. Azazel hummed, sages, usually a person would only be given that title when he or she managed to fully master the art of Genjutsu without being driven by madness because of the hate that the nature was forcing in them. If he's given title the god of sages, then that could only mean he had mastered the art of Genjutsu to the point that the madness and hate wouldn't affect him anymore. He was cloaked in an aura that gave him the very appearance of a god. He was a well-muscled, lean sort of body, individual with peach-colored healthy skin. His face was a little rounded and his body was clad in a glowing black, as impossible as it seemed, bodysuit with a golden circle on his stomach and golden magatama around his neck. It extended and covered part of his thumb and stopped just before his fingers. His golden glowing sandals were open-toed and over his bodysuit he wore a golden glowing jacket with black eye-shaped symbols on his shoulders. He had a ringed eye on his upper back with 9 layered magatama underneath it. His hair was golden and glowing as well, and each of his cheeks bore 3 black bar markings on them. His eyes were golden colored, with cross-shaped pupils. He had 2 horns of hair that stuck up higher than the rest of his hair, and his entire body had a see-through orange cloak of energy around it. Floating behind his back were several black balls, and Naruto looked back at them for a moment. The orbs split themselves up before they turned into 9 orbs and then started to grow back to the size of a fist. Everyone tried their hardest to imagine what he looks like, but they cannot picture anything. The screen begun to sizzle and show some static garnering their attention when suddenly an image of what they assumed to be Naruto Uzumaki appeared on the screen. Oh my, so that must be him. Gabriel commented with a small smile on her cheeks. Despite being a naive and pure-hearted angel, Gabriel was still a girl, and she knew when someone is really attractive. She had met a lot of attractive people in the past, but never once they did manage to garner her attention, but this young man. With just one look, he managed to get her undivided attention. Michael raised an eyebrow at her, well that's a first. Usually, she would ignore it, but this was the first time he had seen his sister react that way. Michael knew that she wasn't entranced by just appearance, even by the screen or just a picture. His sister has a power to see through people's heart, whatever she saw might be something really beautiful for her to be like that. Oddly indeed. Azazel commented when he saw the look on his sister's face. During his time as an angel, many angels and human alike tried to get her attention, but to no avail. No matter how kind one person is, there is still some darkness in their heart. He was sure that even God and Michael has their own darkness. If this boy managed to garner Gabriel's attention, that could only mean that this boy was so pure, or even if he have some darkness in him, he managed to conquer it and win. Ani-sama, look, he looks so cool. LaFay commented while staring at the image of Naruto, while Arthur's eyes turned dull. Great. Now she would continue to pester him about that guy. Ugh, why does she have to have her first crush now? Oh who? Kuroka though with a sly smile, she agrees the guy looks cool and he looks powerful. Fufufu, she might be able to revive her race sooner than later. Riaz and Sona both frowned. They agreed that the boy was handsome and powerful, but that made them worried. They just hoped that he wasn't that powerful so they might have a chance to reincarnate him. Surziches leaned towards Ajuka. What do you think? Ajuka frowned. I don't know, his aura looks different. Despite him looking just like you when you are in your real form, his aura looks so different. Much more pure. I'm not sure if my Kankara formula would be able to read it. He looks perfect. Everyone turned towards the source of that shout only to see Seraphil bouncing up and down on her seat. He'll be the perfect partner in my new shows. Everyone proceeded to ignore the easily excitable Mao. The woman, floating across from him was his own ancestor, the rabbit goddess and the demon Kaguya Akatsuki. His ancestor is a demon. Surziches blink in surprise while everybody does the same. That explains his horns. She was a lightly gray-skinned, attractively young-looking woman. She had pure white eyes, and in the middle of her forehead was a red third eye with many rings and tamo on those rings. She had 2 rabbit-like horns on her head, and her body was cloaked in a ceremonial white kimono with similar markings on the sleeves that existed on Naruto's body. She had unrealistic long, straight, and white hair that went down far past her feet. She had a black kimono underneath her white one, and in her left sleeve were 2 glowing white eyes with a spiked mouth inside of it. She had long fingernails painted black, and her body was rather well off in beauty, but she had a scowl on her lips as she looked at Naruto. Well, she's a real beauty, but she looks menacing. Azazel stated with a grimace while staring at the screen. It was huge turn off. She looks unearthly beautiful, but the look of menace on her face is turning him off, especially the ugly creature on her sleeve. What is that creature? It's hideous. Gabriel commented with a frown. She's not one to judge. Usually she's accepting whether you be a demon or whatever kind of monster you are, but this one. It's not just ugly, but it was reeking such an evil stench that just feeling it from the screen made her want to vomit. A face only a mother could love. Surziches commented while everybody turned to him with dull look in their eyes. Does he really have to say that? It was true, but that's still cruel, which is why they didn't said that. Rafia slapped her palm on her forehead. By the Mayus, why does her husband have to be so stupid? Mother, this one is dangerous. The voice in her sleeve spoke to the woman. See. Surziches yelled out childishly while everybody ignores him. This is the leader of all devil kinds. Zenovia and Irina thought at the same time, he's more of a clown than a supreme ruler. Somehow Surziches felt like someone stabbed him in the heart. Naruto tensed when he heard that, seeing that the battle they were having would be continuing soon. He opened his hand and one of the black balls entered his hand before taking the shape of a staff. The truth-seeking balls, capable of turning anything they touch into nothing. Anything that touched them simply turned into nothing, be it energy or physical matter. All the occupants in the room eyes widened, Office being the widest. If she could get a hold of that boy, then he could probably drove Baka Red out of her home, no. He could even kill Great Red for her. Such a powerful technique, but all power have their own weaknesses. Arthur commented while the others nod, angels, fallen angels and devils alike has their own weakness. Like when a devil get hit by a light attack, one clean hit in a vital area is all it would take, and they're dead. The only weakness they had was Genjutsu. Well, that's unfair. Serafol pouted, how about those who doesn't know how to use Genjutsu, then what they're going to do when they encounter someone with that kind of power. Though despite that, Kuroka feels as if she wasn't safe against that. She kind of feels like that he was talking about a different kind of Senjutsu. Riaz and Sona felt like their chances of being able to reincarnate him was turning away faster than they would like. Add in people who were naturally able to touch them like himself and Kaguya in front of him. They destroyed right down to the soul, the appearance of his father being proof of that. Ouch, everybody winced and gave a nod of sympathy. That technique got even more dangerous, destroying the soul means there is no possibility of reincarnation, with that technique alone destroying the body into nothing would prevent one from being reincarnated, along with the soul, then that could lead to chaos. Hades wouldn't like it if he heard of it. Ajuka commented with a frown with Surziches frowning along with him. He'll probably throw a fit. Kuroka commented, knowing how arrogant and childish the Greek gods can be, they believe that they are the best and the greatest thing on the world besides sliced bread. She had met Zeus once, and he threw a fit when he found out that she was stronger than him, that's when she found out that some Greek gods could be childish sometimes. Though she admit that their control over the elements was so great that they could command it without using spell circles. Just like how the Baals used their power of destruction without a magic circle. Where the hell is Sasuke? Naruto wondered, he had already gotten the memories from his clone that had been popped. For some reason, Sasuke had been trapped in another dimension, and both Sakura and Obito were trying to get him back. Naruto didn't have any dimension-changing powers that allowed him to freely go across dimensions like Sasuke, Obito, and Kaguya had. Nobody was really surprised to hear that, considering that some of them could travel through the dimensional gap. It wasn't much a surprise to hear that someone has the power to travel through dimensions, since all the worlds are connected by the dimensional gap. Though it was rarely used since traveling there could be dangerous, you'll only travel there if you are prepared to risk some part of your body, since its pulling force could split you in half. Though you wouldn't need to worry if you have Officer Great Red's blessings, but they doubt that they will receive it. Those two could be very stingy, and none of them had the guts to ask, lest they get turned into a swish kebab. On Naruto's right palm was a white sun mark, the 6 Paths Yang seal, one half of the seal that would be needed to seal away the immortal, infinitely strong, being in front of him. Okay, that one was new to me. Azazel commented, being a researcher and a sacred gear nerd he had heard and encounter along of amazing things, but this is the first time he heard of marking sealings. Trihexa was sealed using God's power, so it was a different kind of sealing. This was the first time they heard of marking sealings. Stupidly huge energy attacks meant nothing against her because she could absorb the energy in them. He was being restricted to his taijutsu skills and his surprise tactics, combined with his on-the-spot combat plans. Well, that's all you could rely on when you are in the middle of a war or a battle, though being able to plan despite being pressured by your opponent spoke a lot about one's will and mind power. Surziches appraised the young man, after all, it was very rare for him to see someone who has the ability to think straight and make plans, while in the middle of life and death battle, usually it would be you relying on your instincts to survive. But relying on your instincts could be go-to when in battle, right? Riaz asked her brother with a frown. Surziches shook his head yes, sometimes you need to rely on your instincts to survive. But it wouldn't help you every time, instinct would get you nowhere, it would just buy time for you, but it wouldn't get you nowhere. I see. Riaz responded with her frown deepening, she usually rely on her instincts. Yes, like Sona, she would plan first before everything. That is why she would usually watch the rating games to gauge her future opponent's strengths and strategies so that she could plan ahead of time, but when in battle, it was mostly instinct following her plans. It was a huge blow for her ego to know that her way of thinking is wrong. I know, but his massive chakra will be mine. Kaguya spoke as she looked at Naruto. Even she, who had infinite chakra, could tell that Naruto's own chakra was very much a match for her own. Even she understood that the chakra inside of Naruto was massive and constantly growing more powerful the longer that he was fighting her. He was also able to overpower her in both speed and strength, both of which she had in inhuman levels. Azazel rolled his eyes. Why am I not surprised that most powerful being are power-hungry bastards? She has enough power yet she still want more. Zenovia rolled her eyes. Typical. She thought it was just typical for a heathen and evil creature to be power-hungry for whatever diabolical plot they are planning. Almost all powerful creatures she met other than angels and exorcists are power-hungry. That's why some of the exorcists turned rouge because of their thirst for more power. It was not a surprise to her anymore to hear that this Kaguya woman was a power-hungry witch. He was much more dangerous than the one she had sent to be dealt with later. The black portal opened above Naruto and acid started to gush out of it and cover his body. Naruto flew out of the acid, his body immune to the stuff thanks to some of his rather recent internal enhancements. That's a fancy power. Kuroka commented, and it's true most of her attacks was a poison to those who would get hit by it, so being immune to any kind of acid or poisons would be a huge advantage against her. Thankfully those whom she fought weren't immune to any kind of poison, though she could kill them by overloading their body with Genjutsu if they are immune to poison. I am immune to poison. Seraphol commented with a huge grin on her face. That must be why she was always high. Everyone thought with a sweat drop on the back of their head, she must be immune to poison to the point that she become the poison itself. Just look at how high she always is. Kaguya narrowed her eyes while Naruto sensed around him. Kaguya opened a black portal next to herself before bones started to come out of her back and one came out of her palm. The all-killing ash bones. One hit and no matter who you were destroyed at the smallest possible levels. Your body turned into ash and it had an unrivaled piercing power. It was even able to pierce right through Naruto's own skin, shown by a clone. Naruto was in 6th Sage mode and even in normal Sage mode or Tailed Beast mode, he was able to break blades with his bare skin. Can you do that on Isama? Riaz asked her brother, wondering if he could strengthen him body like that too. No. Surzichas answered immediately before he saw the look of contemplation on Ajuka's face. Ajuka? What? I was just wondering if it would work on you. Ajuka responded while Surzichas flailed his arms comically. This is so embarrassing. Grafia thought with a suffered sigh. Those little bone spikes were capable of piercing even 6th Sage mode with ease, showing they could pierce nearly anything with just as much ease. She shot the bone through the portal and Naruto moved out of the way when it started to come at him from behind, a portal right behind him. She couldn't hit his real body with those, his sensing abilities were far too enhanced for such a thing, thank goodness. The perks of using Genjutsu. Kuroka commented with a sly smirk, using Genjutsu would practically be suicide for you, as it is a one-way trip to madness, but if you manage to control yourself and not be consumed by the madness, then you'll be blessed with a power beyond your imagination, and being able to sense almost everything around you is one of them. The office nodded, Genjutsu was a two-bladed sword, if you use it correctly you will gain power that could match even the Mayus themselves, though she doesn't need it. She could swat them like the flies they are, anyway, despite it having such great advantage to those who knows how to use it properly, it could be a huge disadvantage to those who couldn't as it could backfire and turn you mad before killing you. Her, being a creature of the void she feels nothings, so the madness of Genjutsu wouldn't really affect her. There was a reason why she was considered as one of the strongest being in the world. The guy raised her hands up before she changed the dimensions that they were in. Naruto landed on his feet when the two of them were ripped from the sky and pulled down to the ground when they landed in a dimension with such extreme gravity that even the ground itself was misformed so that it took the shape of pyramids. Naruto groaned for a moment, his body taking more than a body to get used to the extremely massive changes in gravity. His body was already adjusting to the changes rather quickly, but Kaguya sent a all-killing ash bone at him and Naruto's eyes widened even as he used his truth-seeking balls to form a barrier in front of him that destroyed the bone. That could be annoying. Seraphol stated with a frown, she knew just how disorientating it is to travel through dimensional void, every time she goes there she would come out looking sick. At least he's starting to get used to it, battling someone with dimensional traveling powers could be taxing sometimes. Michael commented with a frown while Gabriel and the other faction leaders nodded, if you try fighting someone who can transport you from dimension to dimension, then it could end up badly for you, she could just transport you inside a volcano. You cannot do anything against those circumstances. Naruto stood up as his body finished adjusting. How were his allies supposed to get to this dimension without the knowledge of what dimension he was in? Rafia grimaced, well there is also that. One of the reason why she hated people who can travel through dimensions, since that opponent could just transport you to her base where their allies waited and ambush you there, your own allies wouldn't be able to do anything. Kaguya started to stand up as well, before the two of them started to fly at each other. Kaguya switched the dimensions on them, and now they were floating above a never-ending ocean filled with acid. Hiroka shudders, worst way to die. The stray cat murmured while the others nodded. Yes, that is the worst way to die, since acid could practically melt you just like lavas. The bad thing is no one would even know you're dead as they'll never find the body. She smirked for a moment while Naruto sent her a confused look before he saw as a portal opened up nearby and 3 people appeared inside of the ocean of acid. Kaguya held her hands out before 80 mountain-crushing fists of chakra pushed out and pushed the people in THR acid even further down into it. That is unfair. Irina shouted out as she jumped, surprising the others, that is so unfair. She's going to kill his friends and make him watch her do so, it'll probably bring his moral down. Michael nodded with a frown, he can't believe that someone would even stoop so low just to hurt somebody. Naruto's eyes widened before he softened when he saw that Obito was able to teleport Sasuke and Sakura back out of the acid and into his own personal dimension. They were safe, but they were going to need time to heal from the acid pulling, burning and eating away at their bodies. Good thing they had Sakura with them, she could handle that part of it. Obito, that would have worked if not for him. The voice in Kaguya's sleeve, Black Zetsu, spoke with some dissatisfaction in his voice when he saw that they escaped from the acid ocean, with only their bodies being a little destroyed. Azazel clicked his tongue in irritation. Now I get it, this Kaguya person isn't the real enemy. What do you mean? Surzicha sends Azazel a questioning look while Azazel motioned for Ijuka to explain. What Azazel meant is that Kaguya isn't really the one to be wary of, that Black Zetsu or whatever disgusting thing that is the one who planned all of this, he's the one manipulating Kaguya, I wouldn't be surprised he turns to be the root of all evil. Everyone's eyes widened in surprise, now that they look at it carefully, it was the evil-looking thing giving the orders. They were weakened, and healing will exhaust their chakra. Kaguya noted, while Naruto thought for a moment. He had several ideas already forming in his head, but to actually finish off Kaguya, he would need Sasuke and his 6 Pathsian seal so that they could seal her way for good. Acid doesn't affect this one. Black Zetsu commented to Kaguya and Naruto smirked to himself. As the newest jinchuriki of Seiken, you better damn believe he was immune to the effects of acid. Jinchuriki? Okay. That's a new term, even to me. Azazel commented, and that was saying something since nothing in this world would really surprise him, of course, unless a babe marched up to him and told him she's his daughter. He'll probably freak out. I don't know what that is, but I don't like the sound of that. Gabriel commented with a frown, not liking the term jinchuriki. It sounded like a name that was usually given to those children who sick people experimented to. 360-degree vision, the ability to predict opponents' movements, and the abilities of the rinnegan, sharingan, and byakugan all combined. Along with infinite reserves of chakra and the ability to warp reality. Naruto thought as he went over some of the things he knew about her. Most of her abilities were based towards her being able to one-shot all of her opponents. Lucky for Naruto, he had plenty of experience fighting the byakugan, the sharingan, and the rinnegan. He also knew the weaknesses of each of them. Yet, he couldn't take advantage of those weaknesses. Can you defeat her if you somehow fought each other? Riaz asked her brother, while Surzicha started to sweat not wanting to answer. He didn't know the answer to that, she sounded really powerful, but he didn't want to say that he will lose, he don't want his beloved Riatan to think that he was a pushover. Being pushed by Grafia was bad enough, he didn't want to be pushed down by his Riatan. It would probably broke his heart and his mind. Thankfully Ijuka saved him from his dilemma. We do not know, and it's best for us to not find out. She looks to be very powerful, and it is nearly impossible to beat someone who could bend reality even for us. Thank you Ijuka. I knew I could depend on you my friend. But I'm sure your brother would lose, I'm sure he wouldn't even last 10 seconds against her. He finished with a smirk. I take that back. Fuck you Ijuka. Fuck you. She was also a sensor, so blinding her wouldn't work. She could still sense his location and still fight, even if her eyes were taken out of the equation. Reality started to warp around Naruto before he realized that she was placing him under a Genjutsu. I've got this. Kurama called out from inside of Naruto, and the illusion was dispelled instantly for him. Everyone blinks. Are you telling me that he has another soul in his body? Sona asked while fixing her glasses, wondering if she misheard Gabriel. It seems so. Azazel answered for the rest of them, everyone seems confused. Yes, even Office. She knew that it was possible to have another soul inside your body, the proof was in a sacred gear, but it shouldn't be possible to them, since sacred gears doesn't exist to them. Naruto dodged all killing Ash Bone when it was inches away from him and he saw Kaguya was now floating behind him. Thanks Kurama. Naruto thought, being a perfect jinchuriki like him meant that there was only a single illusion capable of trapping him. No other illusions would work on him. Naruto flew away from Kaguya as she sent a volley of bones at him. He formed a barrier in front of him and a portal appeared inside of the barrier. Naruto leaned back and dodged the bones that shot out of the barrier. Mother, Genjutsu won't work against him. Black Zetsu warned Kaguya, who narrowed her eyes at Naruto as his barrier shrank down into a truth-seeking ball again. Mother. This time it was Azazel shouted, everyone turned to him and wondering why he looked so scandalized how in the world such a beautiful woman like that managed to birth such a hideous creature. I even seen some kappa more bearable looking than that thing. Michael rolled his eyes, seeing his brother like this reminds him of the time when Azazel would chase women's everywhere in heaven and the look of frustration on his face whenever the girl he was chasing rejects him. It always give him and his father a good laugh whenever that happens. Sadly, he fell because of his pervertedness. So she can even use those portals inside of barriers, women really are scary. Naruto muttered to himself as he landed on top of the acid. Surziches gave a salute. You will always be in my heart, young man. I understand what you feel. What was that? Grafia asked as her eyes narrowed while Surziches started to sweat. Told ya. He thought. He jumped back into the sky before he remained floating there. I have absorbed all ninjutsu. I have the knowledge of all ninjutsu from the minds of those trapped in the infinite Tsukiyomi. Kaguya reminded Naruto. It was true, she had absorbed all ninjutsu known to humans thanks to her damn illusion. She crossed her fingers in front of her body before there was a puff of smoke next to her. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw an exact copy of Kaguya floating next to her, but this one was without a black Zetsu in her sleeve. The Shadow Clone Jutsu, one of his own signature jutsu. Well, that is annoying, perfect way to spite someone. Arthur commented, and sure he was right. The best way to spite someone was to use their signature moves against them. Bones appeared out of the back of the shadow clone before a portal opened up next to the clone and it entered the portal. The portal closed and Naruto frowned for a moment and then his eyes widened. Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto shouted out in shock. She was sending a shadow clone to finish them off before they were finished healing. If Obito could sync up with Kaguya's dimensional shifting, then she could do the same with him. Naruto saw a swirl appear in the air next to him before he caught a near-dead gray-skinned man with white hair only wearing pants. His eyes were red with 3 tomo around the pupil. He was panting heavily and had a look of regret on his face. Naruto, she got them. Obito told Naruto and he grit his teeth and glared at Kaguya as he supported Obito. Michael closed his eyes while the others followed suit. This reminded them of the war, it reminded them of the death of those who were close to them. To Michael and Gabriel was their father, to the devils was those who they cared about. The office was the only one who hasn't shown any sympathy or emotions at all. Sasuke is dead, you have lost all hopes of sealing me. Kaguya told Naruto while Naruto glared at her. She was correct, with Sasuke dead they lost the 6th Passion seal that was on his hand. They needed both seals to take her down and without Sasuke's seal they couldn't do that. Great, just fucking great. Naruto cursed underneath his breath while Obito glanced around. He gulped when he saw they were above the dimension of acid, meaning one slip up and he was dead. Obito used his Kamui and both he and Naruto swirled before they slipped out of the current dimension as Obito shifted them from this dimension to another dimension. Kaguya's ice dimension. In front of them was a man, gray-haired wearing a blue long-sleeved shirt and a pants. He had a green flask jacket on over his shirt but on the front of it was an X-shaped cut that he got earlier. His left eye had a scar over it and his eye color was onyx. He was visibly exhausted and surprised to see Naruto and Obito as they landed in front of him. He was Kakashi Haddock, Naruto's own teacher and a jonin from the Hidden Leaf Village. That's great, he has still an ally, oh that poor boy. Gabriel stated with a frown on her beautiful face, she feel really bad for him. She was interested in this boy and she wanted to meet him so much, he has such beautiful heart. Pure and untainted, it was as if he was a being made of light, she truly wished for him to win so that she could meet him. Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke and Sakura died. We won't have long before Kaguya finds out which dimension we are in. Naruto explained the situation to his teacher. Kakashi looked sad for a moment at the deaths of his students before he turned serious. Is there another way to deal with her? Kakashi asked Naruto and he shook his head. She is immortal and wounding her won't work. She can absorb energy attacks. Since Sasuke was killed, she will be arrogant and take her time to get here. Obito, do you have any plans? Naruto asked his enemy-turned-ally. That's the only good thing in war, it's the only time where you'll find out that your enemy was a real ally. Surziches stated, and it was true, that's how he met Grafia after all, they were former enemies, and now they are allies. They came to being enemies to being husband and wife. And were allies turned out to be enemies. Azazel added while Surziches frowned, as much as he hate to admit it. Azazel was right. Without a rinnegan, the infinite Tsukiyomi can't be dispelled, or at least it is what I was able to read from the tablet. We need both the tailed beast chakras and the rinnegan to dispel the illusion. Can I have some more chakra, Naruto? Obito asked Naruto, and Naruto nodded and transferred enough chakra to Obito to fill him up to the brim. Naruto did the same thing with Kakashi, so that they were all pretty much near full. The amount needed to fill them up was barely even a drop of Naruto's chakra. They can do that. Falbium asked, surprising Seraphil, who was sitting beside him. In fact, she was so surprised she accidentally threw an ice cube at his head, making him stare at him dully. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were there, Fultan. Seraphil apologized with a sheepish smile. We didn't know he was there too. Everyone thought. Anyway, yes, it seems so. But it looks like only Naruto-sama can do that because you would need to have a huge amount of mana to do so. Lefei commented with a polite smile on her face. Thanks, Naruto. Kakashi said as he looked around for any sign of Kaguya. Naruto, you are our only hope now. Do you think you can defeat her alone? Obito asked Naruto seriously, and Naruto shook his head. Maybe if I was well rested, but I'm tired and hungry. I haven't eaten or slept in days, and I have spent days fighting non-stop. Ninjutsu doesn't work on her, even if I destroyed the planet, she would just absorb it. There might be a ninjutsu that works on her, but without Sasuke it would only backfire on us. Naruto admitted, and Obito winced. He was the reason that Naruto had been awake and unable to eat anything, or so much as get a drink, in the last few days. It was his fault that Naruto wasn't at his full power and able to take care of this threat. Well, this kid is now on my list of baddest people. Azazel commented as he wrote Naruto's name in a piece of paper. What do you mean, Azazel-sama? Grafia asked with a confused frown. Well, didn't you just hear? The boy was fighting for days already without sleep and without eat, much less a drink. He must have such stamina to do so. Azazel commented while everyone's eyes widened while Akeno smirked. She would like to try that stamina of his, maybe he could take a punishment for days. Ria started to inch away from her when her friends started emitting such sadistic dark aura. Kakashi, take my eyes. When both eyes are used together, they can open portals to completely different dimensions. I have another hour or two at most before I die. Obito admitted to Kakashi, who looked at Naruto. What are you planning? Naruto asked Obito, who looked down. This is my fault. I have done so much stuff wrong. I caused the death of Minato-sensei and Kushina and so many others. I caused a war, but you've forgiven me. I just want to say I'm sorry to you, Naruto. The world of ninja has fallen. Obito admitted to Naruto, and Naruto looked at him with widening eyes. Listen, Obito, I've already forgiven you, but as long as I'm alive there is still hope. Naruto told the man, who nodded. That is right, never lose hope. Keep fighting until the end. Seraphil commented, if you give up then the fight is over, but as long as you are alive and still wasn't giving up, then there is still a huge chance for you to succeed. My eye still has some of Madara's chakra inside of it. With your chakra my eye should awaken the rinnegan. From what I've read, when the chakra of Indra and Asura come together, the rinnegan is born. Obito spoke seriously, and Naruto nodded. That was how it worked. When the two chakra came together and Madara did have Indra chakra, then the rinnegan could be born. If the rinnegan was born again, then the infinite Tsukiyomi still had a chance of being lifted. How long does the infinite Tsukiyomi take to turn humans into white Zetsu? Kakashi asked Obito seriously, and Obito looked around for a moment just in case Kaguya had found them. The current white Zetsu were born from the humans that were affected by the original infinite Tsukiyomi, and it took a fair amount of the Sage of Six Paths life for them to get turned into that, so maybe 30 to 40 years, and not all of them were turned. Obito admitted, with the rinnegan he had been able to read much of the tablet. He had learned a good amount about the infinite Tsukiyomi, even though apparently Black Zetsu manipulated the tablet. He had to leave a fair amount of information about it, and after what they had heard, Obito had been able to figure out the truth underneath the lies. Well, that is good, they still have a lot of time, they can use it to their advantage. Michael commented with a smile, they still have a lot of time, so they could probably rest and train. A year or so is probably enough for them to reach the level needed. With Naruto's determination, he was sure that it wouldn't take long for Naruto to reach that level of power. He's powerful enough, and he still hasn't reached his prime yet. He's only 17, he's still going to get stronger. What are you getting at? Kakashi asked, and Obito ripped out his right eye before he handed it over to Naruto. Then he ripped out his left eye and did the same thing. He closed his eyelids, and they were bleeding. Ninja were very pain tolerant, even Kakashi could have an eye ripped out and only grunt in pain. Issei's hands instinctively covered his eyes. He was afraid that girls might do that to him if they catch him peeking again. He hoped to God that wouldn't happen, he wondered why the others grimaced when he muttered God's name. Oh right. Devils. Sorry. Take my eyes and flee to another dimension, one as far away as you two can manage. My eyes are already synced up to this dimension, my Kamui dimension, and our home dimension. Naruto, grow stronger, become strong enough to take down Kaguya Kakashi. When my eye becomes the rinnegan, give it to Naruto. With his 6 paths in Jutsu and the 6 paths power inside of my eyes and the rinnegan, he can defeat Kaguya and the world can be saved. Obito said to Naruto, and Naruto looked at Kakashi for a moment. Kakashi nodded before he ripped out his own eyes. Naruto placed Obito's eyes inside of Kakashi's head before he healed them and Kakashi opened them to show the Sharingan in both eyes. The way they ripped their own eyes out like that without even wincing sure is scary. Kuroka muttered with a grimace while her face shivers and moved closer to her brother. It's kind of freaky. Yes. Kiba responded with a nod. I don't know, Yufufufu. It sounds kinky. Akeno commented with a sultry smile. Sadist. Everyone thought while Azazel grimaced, like mother like daughter. Poor Burkel. Then Naruto placed his hands on Obito's head and he healed Obito. Obito opened his eyes and showed that he had his eyes back and he turned them into their Sharingan form again. Thank you Obito. Naruto, let's go with Obito's plan. When you get stronger and this eye evolved we will come back and save our world. Kakashi spoke to Naruto seriously and Naruto looked down at the ground in shame. He hated the though of running away but as he couldn't win. He needed to get stronger and he needed to wait for Obito's eye to evolve into the rinnegan before he could truly save the ninja world. Obito, I just want you to know, despite the horrible acts you committed, you've been redeemed in my eyes. It is not about how a shinobi lives but how he dies. The life of a shinobi is not measured by how he lived but rather what he did before his death. You might not feel redeemed but to me you are one of the coolest people I know. Naruto told Obito as he wiped the tears from his eyes. Naruto, you have a larger heart, filled with more love and forgiveness than any I have ever met before. You do Jiraiya proud. Kakashi thought with pride as he saw the man that Naruto was growing into. Such a great man. Gabriel though with a smile. Had he been here, he would have been a great exorcist. Zenovia commented while the other factions scowled, especially Riaz and Sona. They were planning of bringing him to their side after all. Riaz didn't care even if she has to manipulate him. She will manipulate him if it means she could get out her engagement with Riser. This Naruto person sounded like a really good person, so it wouldn't be hard to do so. No matter who you are, you don't know what kind of human you are until the very end. One realizes their true nature at the moment of death. Obito thought back to the words that he remembered Itachi saying. He was on the doors of death, even now his life was quickly slipping away. Too true. Azazel agreed with a nod of appraisal. Obito started to cry blood and a portal shaped like a circle appeared in the air behind Kakashi and Naruto. He used every single last drop of chakra that Naruto gave to him and he only sped up the speed in which he was dying. He used up even more chakra, forcing his body to produce more and more of it, trading his remaining life force away just so that he could send Kakashi and Naruto into a dimension so far away that Kaguya would never be able to find it on her own. Naruto, you are the child of prophecy, do me a favor and carry my name in your heart, right with your other comrades, okay? Obito asked Naruto as his vision began to blur. He could still see Naruto grinning at him as he placed his thumb in front of his heart and the tears that fell down his cheeks. Right. I'll never forget you, your name is going right next to Sasuke's and Sakura's. Naruto told Obito as he and Kakashi walked through the portal. Obito smiled for a moment as he fell onto his back and the portal closed. His smile grew larger for a moment before he whispered his last words, spoken more to himself than anyone else. Become the Hokage I never could be, Naruto Uzumaki. Obito said as he realized the kind of person he truly was now that he was literally a second away from dying. Obito Uchiha had died with a smile on his face. So that's how he'll get into our world. Ajuka commented while Surzucha smiles. Such great peoples and that's the best way to die. Not like he wanted to die or anything, but dying like a true hero's does sounded really good to him. It's finish, who wants to read next? Gabriel asked with a kind smile on her face. Chapter end. Chapter start. Here. Let me read. Irina immediately took the book from Gabriel's hands in case someone wanted to read it first. It's not every day you get to see the future, especially in the path of the hero. Ravel grumbled under her breath, she wanted to read it too. As a child she was told of many stories of heroes of old and heroes from the fairy tales. This is the first time she would be able to read a true tale about a real hero that really did existed and by his personality, he succeeded on gaining her attention. You're surprisingly eager to read it, Irina. Zenovia called out to her with a deadpan while Irina waved her hand dismissively. Of course, it isn't every day you get to see the future. And it's not like you weren't interested in it. Irina shot back. You got a point. Zenovia responded with a nod as Irina coughed into her hand. Naruto and Kakashi expected many things to happen when they went to an unknown world for an unknown amount of time. For one, they didn't expect there to be humans. Oh? And why is that? Ajuka asked with his eyebrow raised slightly. It's probably because of the war in their dimension. It must been so intense that most humans had been wiped out, so to see humans again was a surprise for them. Michael responded with a small smile. Or it could be that they were expecting to be sent to a blank space to train. Azazel added with a wave of his hand, seriously, these two people are making this story quite complicated with the assumptions and all. You're right. Michael responded while Azazel merely HMP, he still didn't forget when Michael embarrassed him by exposing his work on Heaven back then. He still held that grudge for being the laughingstock. And a non-human in this world. Ah. So that's what they are talking about, the heathens. Irina commented with her tone laced with innocence, while the heathens devils in the room cough in their hands to show her that they got quite bit offended by that comment. Excuse me? Rias questioned with a scowl on her face, while Surziches sent her a look telling her to let it go. Gritting her teeth she gave a reluctant nod. Irina, it is rude to call them heathens. Vile creatures is enough. Zenovia responded while Irina made a look of understanding before she turned to the twitching devils. Hey. This time it was Serafal who reacted, she might be childish sometimes. Alright, she childish all the time, but she was still susceptible to insults. I'm sorry for my rudeness, vile creatures. Irina stated with a bow while a tick mark formed on Ria's forehead. The others just chuckled, they didn't took it too seriously. Despite being proud of their lineage, insults like that wasn't really too big of a deal for them. Irina, Zenovia. That's enough. Gabriel called out with a frown on her face. Yes, Gabriel. Zenovia and Irina bowed in apology. The office shook her head, lesser creatures. That was what they were seeing though, in the dead of night this world had a full moon high in the sky just like their own, only this wasn't a magical moon created by a ninja god for the purpose of holding a primordial being's empty husk of a body captive. Excuse me, what was that? Azazel asked with an owlish blink. Apparently their moon was created by some ninja god to imprison a primordial being. Ajuka responded with his own look of confusion and surprise, a strange combination. That's freaky. LeFay commented while Arthur and Kuroka nodded in agreement. There were 3 people standing in front of them, 2 girls and some kind of other thing, it looked human, but anyone that could sense energy could tell you that was bullshit right away. The first girl had a katana in her hands as she pointed it at their dark foe. She was a young girl, about 16 to 17 years old, and she stood at the same height as Naruto. She had orange-tinted brown hair done up in twin tails, and she had dark purple eyes. Her body was toned, and she held an hergless figure with wide hips, great thighs, and large breasts. Hey, that's me. Irina shouted excitedly, ignoring the fact that the others were staring at her in disbelief. Had it been them, they wouldn't feel excited about being described in a very detailed passion. Kakashi was memorizing every detail of her perverse young body. Dear God. Please protect me from this perverted heathen. Irina shouted as she covered herself. She ignored the fact that every devil in the vicinity winced at the mention of God's name. She wore perverted clothes as well, a skin-tight black suit that showed off every inch of her body. It had no sleeves, and it was a one-piece that had the legs stop right below her butt. She had long leggings and long clothes on, and hanging from her neck was a silver cross. To think of it, for such a pure beings you do wear perverted clothes. Does the church have some kind of weird fetish for tight clothings? Azazel asked with a smirk in his face, while Surziches burst into laughter seeing Michael's and Gabriel's look of repulsion and disbelief. You're right, I noticed that every exorcist I met were wearing tight clothings that the Minitrix usually wore. IWONDER Serafal asked with her finger on her chin with faux innocent look on her face. That's not true. Gabriel defended with her cheeks tinted pink, she looked very scandalized from being called out by her rival. Zenovia and Irina was left to ponder those words. The second woman was captured, having the back of her long blue hair gripped and pulled on by the dark enemy they facing. Great, that's probably me. Zenovia thought with a scowl. She stood at the same height as Naruto as well, and her body was very similar to the other girls. Her waist was a little thinner, as with her hips, but because of that her breasts appeared a little bigger. She had lower back-length blue hair and bright hazel-colored eyes. Her sword was on the ground nearby, and the sword was a large one. It was triple-pointed at the end and had an axe-like guard with chains, and it was two-handed. Rias put a hand on Kiba's shoulder when she saw the look of murder in his eyes. Akeno did the same to prevent the boy from acting rashly and do something that he'll regret and would cause an international conflict. The Excalibur destruction and Excalibur mimic impressive. Azazel commented with a hum, if she could wield an Excalibur, then that must mean she's pretty skilled. It was a strange shape, but not the strangest they had seen. Her clothes were the same as the girl before, if a bit different. Hers had the gloves as fingerless, and she had short sleeves, with her lacking any legs, showing a little of her rear end. She also had a silver cross hanging from her chest. Their enemy was inhuman feeling. He was as tall as Kakashi and had platinum blonde hair with red eyes. His was pale-skinned and he wore a black cloak of darkness itself. His teeth were replaced with fangs and he was glaring death at them. Most of his body was covered up at the moment, but his energy was dark pure evil. Vampire. Sona deduced by the description alone, only vampires has such description. Zenovia, now. The brown-haired girl shouted out and both the Zenovia and the enemy acted. Zenovia grabbed her sword off the ground and sliced through her own hair, cutting it short to neck length as the rest of her once long hair fell to the ground. The other females in the room wince in sympathy, enemy she might be, but as a woman, they still feel some form of pity for the girl. Every woman value their hairs after all. Zenovia didn't really care, if it means she could complete the mission, then her hair wasn't really that important. The man threw the hair aside before he changed targets and showed his clawed fingers as he rushed towards Kakashi. Kakashi's Sharingan both shifted into their Mangekyo form as the attack slipped through his body and continued to go towards Naruto. The ghost. Issei screamed in fright while he ducked for cover. No. It was an intangibility technique. Sona answered with her eyes narrowed, it was a very powerful and dangerous technique. If you could turn intangible at any moment notice then it means it was nearly impossible to hit you. Though attacking would be impossible too. The man's let out a shocked gasp as the attack hit nothing when he went through Kakashi before he smirked and continued his attack aimed at Naruto. His claws broke the second they crashed into Naruto's super-enhanced body, capable of withstanding great amounts of power without even the slightest amount of damage. That is one rock-hard body. Kuroka commented with a sly smile. Indeed Serafel agreed wholeheartedly. He roared out, showing that while he had the intelligence needed to make plans in battle, he lacked enough thinking ability to actually think his actions through. Naruto grabbed him by the throat and lifted him up into the air. You don't have anything in your heart but hate and darkness. You killed your family and devoured them, you sick fuck. Naruto said as he read what was inside of the man's heart. He could very well do that, when he came in contact with people he could read the insides of their hearts. He was able to connect his spirit to their spirit, allowing him to bypass any language barrier and understand people without the need for words. Well, he took the word heart's unification to the next level. Kiba commented with a hollow chuckle, seeing the holy sword just reminded him of his goal. To be able to read people's heart and change them for the better like what he did with Obito-san, what a marvelous man. Michael commented with a soft smile. He really fit the description of a real hero. Gabriel stated softly with a smile. Ninshu. Arena, let's go. Zenovia called out as she charged towards the vampire that Naruto was holding up into the air. The vampire turned into darkness itself and slipped from Naruto's grasp, while Kakashi looked at the darkness moving away from Naruto. Shadows started to come out of Naruto's shadow before they wrapped around him, and when Naruto's body grew brighter they were destroyed by his light. What? Michael jumped out of his sit in shock while the others looked at him in surprise. What's wrong, brother? Gabriel asked worriedly, it was rare for her to see her brother so surprised. It's just that no matter how much light powers you have, doing that is impossible. The only one whom I've seen to be able to do that was father. Michael responded with his eyes wide open in shock. What? This time, the devils and Azazel along with the two exorcists to show their disbelief. Arena and Zenovia look at each other in disbelief before they look at the image of Naruto in awe. Naruto, can you understand those two? Kakashi asked, and Naruto nodded. After reading the vampire's heart, he had managed to learn a little bit about the language. Hey, this is official church business, please, both of you vacate the area now. Arena called out to them as she chased after the vampire. Naruto looked at Kakashi, who was glanced at him, before he sighed and nodded. He could tell, by the girl's tone, that she was telling them to leave. Naruto might understand the ways to use chakra to erase language barriers, but he could not do that. How nice of you, thinking of them before yourself. Michael turned to Arena with a smile after getting over his shock of seeing Naruto conquering darkness with his light. Thank you, Lord Michael. Arena responded with a smile. He did know his student and his student's bad habit of getting himself involved in stuff he shouldn't. Both of you, cover your eyes. Naruto told them as he clapped his hands together. Then Naruto started to open his mouth. Bright white powder began to shoot from his gaping mouth before it covered a vast area. It was the ability granted to those who were the jinchuriki, and he was just that. The powder that was covering the area soon started to shine so brightly they could blind anyone that looked directly at them. The shadows in the area were erased, and the vampire was forced to take his normal form again, seeing as there were no more shadows to take advantage of. Naruto ended the glow before he saw that those girls had not covered their eyes, they hadn't trusted him to do what he said. Everyone chuckled while Michael palmed his face. Zenovia and Irina shifter in their sit not looking at the others out of embarrassment. Hey. You couldn't just trust somebody you just met. So it was no surprise they didn't do as he ordered, though they regretted it now. He sighed in annoyance at that little tidbit of information. Zenovia swung her sword around wildly and a 10-foot crater appeared in the ground when he sword stabbed it. She continued to swing wildly around he with one hand as her other hand covered her hurting eyes. I'm blind. Irina called out as she walked forward aimlessly, not knowing where she was going anymore. What sort of magic is this? Zenovia grunted out as she sliced through a nearby tree with ease. She had no clue what she was doing and the vampire was just as blind as they were as it stumbled around. It could smell where they were and it started to shoot towards the girls with fangs extended to drain their blood. "You're fuck," Azazel bluntly stated while Zenovia glared heatedly at her. "What was that, chicken wings?" Zenovia asked with a bit of bite in her tone. Everyone burst out into laughter, while Azazel sputtered before he too laughed at the funny name she gave him. "Do you realize that Michael and Gabriel has chicken wings just like me?" Azazel wheezed out as he laughed while Zenovia's eyes widened in horror when she saw Michael and Gabriel turning away in embarrassment. Naruto appeared in front of Irina and used his arm to block the fangs. Irina's eyes widened in shock before a small tint of pink appeared on her cheeks. The vampire screaming in agony as his fangs were snapped off. "Aki, not to self. Do not try to attack him with pointy things and your fist." Surziches commented with a wince that must been very painful. "I warned you too, I am Naruto Uzumaki and I am an ally of any good guy that needs help," Naruto told them seriously. "That is cool, but I seriously can't see right now. I can't purify the sinner if I can't see. How am I supposed to show this heathen the infinite love of God like this?" Irina called out in horror, fearing that she would go blind forever because of this. If she went blind, then she would have to give up slaying monsters. "Purify?" Naruto questioned as he put the vampire in a headlock. He was not opposed to the act of killing, Naruto had made multiple killing moves. Most of Naruto's moves that he knew were fully capable of ending a life instantly. Naruto cracked the vampire's neck before it bent to an unnatural angle. The vampire, whose mind had long since vacated his brain when his sanity went bye-bye, gained a dull look in his eyes. "Well, that's not one of the worst way to go, though not to self. Don't let him give you a friendly headlock." Ajuka commented with a rub of his neck. "Yeah, he's just like Surziches in department." Azazel responded with a nod. "Really?" Surziches asked with a huge smile on his face, while Grafia palmed her face and Riaz looked away in embarrassment. "Yep, an idiot." Azazel and Ajuka pointed out while Surziches sulked in the corner after hearing that. "Shut up, Irina, my sight is returning." "Open your eyes, yours should be returning as well." Zenovia told her partner as she continued to rub her eyes. She blinked away some of the spots in her vision, she had heard the sound of the vampire dying, so she wasn't worried. She was concerned about the strange glowing teenage boy standing in front of them and his teacher. The silver-haired man seemed kind of wise, but he also had a strange lazy aura about him. He hadn't lifted a finger to help any of them. "Well, he's a lazy one." Grafia commented with a frown, she didn't like lazy people, which is why she would always punish her husband whenever he acted like a lazy idiot. Or it could be that he believes in his students so much that he's too confident that he will win. Falbium commented while Seraphol jumped with a shriek when he spoke. "Don't do that, Fultan." Seraphol scolded while she held her chest where her heart is. "Not that they needed help." "Oh, I can see again." Irina said as she opened her eyes again. The blinding effect only lasts a little while after the dust is gone. "Anyway, this is Kakashi Haddock and my name is Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto introduced himself as he powered down. His clothes changed and the glowing on his body altogether. He needed to power down, if he powered up there was a chance that Kaguya could track them down. He needed to use as little of his power as he could, so he needed to avoid using Tailed Beast mode and Six Paths Age mode at all costs from now on if he could help it. Surziches pursed his lips along with the others, they're already too busy dealing with the other threats that lies within the grounds of Kuo. They couldn't afford to fight a monster of Kaguya's level. This is bad, there is no way for him to get stronger if he keeps on holding his power back. Azazel commented with his chin on his knuckles. "So this is what he looks like." Kuroka whispered to herself, she admits she likes what she saw. "He's strong and handsome." Kakashi sent the girls a peace sign. "Formally, I would like to thank you for the assistance. Informally, I question how you got here," Zenovia said with a serious tone of voice. Naruto appearing at just the right time was way too convenient of a thing for her to just believe in. It was him coming that allowed her to save herself and she was grateful for that, but she had to admit that she was rather suspicious of his timing and that black and golden form of his. His golden eyes were now blue and he was wearing an open orange and black jumpsuit that was in tatters. It's good to be cautious sometimes, but not the point that you will doubt everything that you didn't know. Surziches commented, showing that despite him being childish and idiotic, sometimes he was still the supreme ruler of the underworld and one of the four Maus. It's doubts and paranoia that usually starts wars. I don't listen to your kinds. Zenovia shot back with a scowl, while Grafia glared heatedly at her for the disrespect of her king. That's enough Zenovia, Surzich's Kun is right. Michael stated while Irina and Zenovia looked at Michael with wide eyes for siding with the heathens. Zenovia, be nice. Irina said, and Zenovia looked at her. I am being nice, but unlike you, I am not accepting his appearance and strange abilities at face value. Zenovia told her partner with a serious tone, while Naruto's stomach growled. Zenovia looked at Naruto with sympathy, knowing very much what it was like to go hungry. Sorry, I haven't eaten in like 3 days. Naruto told them as he touched his growling stomach. He was being serious, his last meal was about 3 days ago. Oh right. He just came out of war. Riaz commented with a blink in surprise. Oh my yufufufu, did Butchu-sama forget about that by seeing the hunk that is Naruto-kun? Akeno responded with a giggle, while Riaz sent her an annoyed like. Haneko shook her head when she thought that Akeno wouldn't act like that during this event. She was proven wrong. 3 days. Zenovia, let's take him to the church. I mean, he helped us after all. The least we can do is spare this poor man. It is a pleasure to meet you Naruto. I am Japanese myself. Irina told him as she gave him a light bow. You should follow Irina-chan's example Zenovia-chan. Gabriel commented with a beautiful smile on her face, while Irina flushed at the praise, while Zenovia nodded in understanding. Naruto looked at her with a raised eyebrow for a moment before he offered her a small bow out of respect. He was never one for formality, while Kakashi walked up next to Naruto and nodded at him as he got his book out and started reading. They needed to wait until the Sharingan evolved into a rinnegan before they could return home anyway. Naruto also needed to train himself and grow stronger. Naruto, we need to get you as strong as possible. We need to take any chance we can get to make you stronger. These people are potential allies, so why don't we try and team up with them? Kakashi muttered to Naruto. These people might have some sort of way to make Naruto stronger. If Naruto grew stronger in his base form, then that power would be multiplied many-fold when he powered up against Kaguya in the future. Oh? So he's going to be an exorcist. Azazel deduced while Sona and Riaz pursed their lips. That didn't sit well with them. They plan on recruiting him to their side, but if he become an exorcist that would be nearly impossible. Zenovia and Irina along with the 2 angels looks really pleased with the smile on their face and all. I don't like using people. Naruto reminded Kakashi and Kakashi shook his head. It isn't using, this is cooperation. You are helping them and if these people get sent on regular missions you can grow stronger as well. It is worth it anyway, these girls seem like good people. Kakashi admitted to Naruto. Naruto nodded, they seemed like good people, that much was true. They had pure hearts, he could sense that much out of them. Hey, try swing this. Zenovia said as she offered her sword to Naruto when she played with an idea in her mind. Naruto grabbed her sword by the hilt and he swung it around with ease. Zenovia let out a hum, impressed with the skill Naruto swung the blade with, the strength he had to wield it, and the fact that he could wield it also showed her just how pure his heart was. She took her sword back and she wrapped it up with bandages. Everyone was wide-eyed but no more than Zenovia, to be able to wield and swing an Excalibur sword like that, it was mind-boggling. Even she has trouble swinging that sword with ease like that. So the church gained a powerful ally huh? Riaz muttered under her breath, she need to plan and fast before the church truly brainwashed him so that she could pull him to her side and use him to fight Riser and end her engagement with the arrogant chicken. He can naturally wield holy swords. Only pure-hearted people with amazing amounts of light in them can wield them like that. Irina whispered to Zenovia in shock, with the girl nodding in agreement. She had guessed from Naruto's holy appearance that he had some amount of light energy inside of him. He was pure-hearted and his energy was so filled with light it was amazing to see. They needed to get him to the church. Hey Naruto, that form you used, can you use it again? Zenovia asked Naruto and he shook his head. No, well yes, but I don't really think it is a good idea. I want to get stronger in this form right now. Naruto said to them with a light grin on his face. Kakashi flipped a page in his book before he closed both of his eyes and covered them with his headband. He needed to save chakra, using both eyes would be too straining on his body until he could find somebody capable of adapting them to his body better. Zenovia gave a small smile, so he wanted to get stronger in a genuine way. She liked that. I like him. Gabriel commented with a loving smile on her face while Michael nodded. Me too, it's rare to see someone like that nowadays. Michael responded with a smile of his own. HMP. Seraph owned pet as she looked away from her rival. Since it was Naruto who did the transplant, he was able to use them with less chakra. He just realized that with both eyes covered, he would have to rely on his hearing and smell to navigate. Not that he wasn't able to do that anyway. So, you desire an honest strength. You have a pure heart and you have a strong understanding of strength. Please, come with us, I would like to offer you an invite to become an exorcist. Zenovia said, while Naruto looked at Kakashi. Naruto didn't have to really think about it, he didn't have much of a choice. He had to keep a low profile anyway. He also needed something that would let him fight a lot and gain a lot of battle experience as quickly as possible. This was a great way to train himself up and find himself a place in this world. He also needed some time to mourn the loss of his friends, he was still holding that in until he could find a nice quiet place to mourn. Surzix wince. Well, there is that. Yeah, he lost a lot of friends during the war and he has no time to mourn for them before, the church wouldn't just help him stronger but also give him support. As Izil commented, despite not liking the church because of what Michael did to him, he still believed in him. He was more affected by the deaths of his allies than he let on. Well, chapter's done. Who wants to read next? Irina asked with grin as she jumped in her seat due to her excitement. Chapter end. What if Naruto has Sage Power and Rinnegan in High School DxD? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.